Hi there, as you may have seen in my last video, I was looking at this painting here and I'm going to do a little bit of work on it just to freshen it up a little bit. It's been in storage for a while and I wanted to bring it out and exhibit it again. So if you haven't seen the video about what I was talking about, what the painting was about, the subject matter and when I did it, then do check out the link that's just appearing up here, because in that video I was just chatting over where it came from, when I did it, and what it was about. So what I want to do is have a look at freshening it up a little bit. It's been in storage for a little while. It's been in various exhibitions backwards and forwards, so it's not damaged in any way, but I just want to kind of freshen it up a little bit. So I'm really just going to re-varnish it and have a look at tidying up around the edges as well, because they've got a little bit grubby. I've got my varnish here now, and this is one I get from an online store here in the UK. So what I'm going to do is just have a look at just freshening up the varnish, bring some of the luster and the life back into the paint, bringing some of the colour back out again, because as you can see it's pretty muted in terms of the colour palette. It's very limited colour palette, but it will bring out what's there. Giving it a little bit of a refresh of the varnish will bring out some of the colours there, give it a little bit more luster. So I'm going to have a look at that, and like I said, have a look at tidying up around the edges as well, so if I do want to exhibit it again, it's going to be ready to go. Poured some of the varnish into this tin, and I've got a nice soft brush. It's a really nice, quite wide, soft brush that I like to use for varnishing. Now, I could do this laying flat, and in fact, often it's a good idea to have a painting that's on a flat surface when you're varnishing, so you don't get any drips and runs. I haven't really got anywhere to put it. It's quite big, as you can see. It's 5 by 6 feet, so I haven't really got anywhere to put it on a flat surface. I'd be a bit worried if I put it too close to the floor that it might get dust on it. So I'm just going to be careful with it. I'm pretty confident that I can do this without the varnish running, because as long as you don't put it on too thick and just put it on a nice thin layer, it's safer to avoid any dust settling on the surface to have it just set on the wall like this. And yeah, I'll just be putting the varnish on, make sure I've not got any excess on the brush that's going to cause runs, and I'll just be fairly methodical about working the whole surface so I don't miss any bits out. And I think I'll try and do it in fairly small areas like this, so I can make sure I cover the whole surface and don't leave any bits that haven't had the varnish on it. The other thing I want to do is, as I go, I've got a window here, and the light coming from the window is allowing me to see if I've missed any bits. So I can look at it down the side like this at an angle and make sure that there's no areas that are flat without any varnish on. So it's quite a good way of doing it, just to get a nice shallow angle on the painting to make sure that there's no bits missing. And each time I dip the brush in the varnish, just make sure I wipe all the excess off. So I'm just putting a very thin layer on. I don't think it'll need more than one layer of varnish. I'll just get the camera a bit closer to show you the difference. Straight away, there's a big difference between the areas of the painting just here where it's been varnished. So I expect you can see the difference between these two parts of the painting, where I've got the varnish just finishing about here, and this area here which is quite flat and dull looking. It's quite tricky, I know, with the light shining on it. Obviously with the varnish it's become a little shinier as well, so it's a bit tricky to see. But what I was talking about earlier, by putting, as you can see I've got my window here, but by looking at a sharp angle, I can see that I haven't missed any areas of the painting with the varnish, so it's all nice and evenly glossy. Now this varnish will soften off a little bit. It looks really super shiny at the moment. It won't be like this when it's dry. Yeah, so I'm just going to do this next bit, and I'll just show you. I'm just going to wipe most of the varnish off the brush so that it's not dripping off the brush. So I don't really want it to be doing that. And just spread it a nice thin layer on the painting. And I'm kind of going in both directions as well, just to make sure I don't miss any bits. And I can see there's no drips or runs or anything like that happening. So yeah, I've just done this top area here, and I guess I just have to keep working on through. And I'm just going to go across the top, probably like in a sort of zigzag shape like this, just to make sure I don't miss any bits, and I can keep track of where I've been. And I'll just work my way across the whole painting. Okay, so that's about it. I've just kind of worked my way across the painting, and I'm just checking to make sure I haven't missed any bits. It's pretty obvious if you see a bit that's got missed, because it's just really kind of flat and dull looking rather than this nice glossy luster that I've got on it now. So it's quite easy to spot any bits that haven't been done, particularly if I get it right in the light from the window. So I don't know if you can tell on the video, but it's made quite a big difference to the painting. It's a lot deeper. The tonal range kind of feels a lot deeper between the light areas and the dark areas. Particularly the dark, it's really brought out quite a bit of the detail. There's actually some things in here which I couldn't see before. Yeah, there's these slightly longer leaf shapes that were underneath the surface, and I couldn't really see those before I put the varnish on. It's really brought it out. I think because the paint had gone a little bit dull and flat, the glossiness has really brought that out. So yeah, I'm just trying to get the camera on it where it's not too shiny. So I hope you can see that okay. So yeah, that's come out now as well, so that's quite interesting. So yeah, it looks a lot better, and as I say, the varnish will soften off a little bit, so it doesn't look quite as glossy as this when it's dry, but yeah, it's made quite a big difference. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is have a look around the edges, because where it's been handled, taken on and off the wall, wrapped and unwrapped and that kind of thing, it's got a little bit grubby around the sides here, so I think I will paint those up as well, and then it'll be looking pretty good. I don't think that the top has been done. No, it's still got the raw canvas on the top there, so I think I'll have a go at that as well and just tidy the whole thing up. As you may know, my next online workshop is coming up in a few weeks, and there's still time to join. So if you want to do that, if you want to find out how to go from absolutely nothing, start with nothing, get outside, do a bit of sketching, bring it back to the studio, have a really good play around with it on board and canvas or whatever you want to work on. Even better, if you're on my membership group, you can get 20% off the price of the workshop. You can join it for absolutely free, and there's no tie-in period, and you can still get the discount. So if you're interested in any of that, please do check out the link that's here on the screen. So what I'm going to use for painting the edges is just a matte emulsion, but it's a high quality one. It's got a high quality matte emulsion, and it's the same paint that I use for painting my frames when I use a really kind of light off-white colour, and that's what I'm going to use for painting the edges with. But it's a high quality one, and it's really nice. It's kind of sort of soft white, I suppose, rather than like just a white matte emulsion, which can be a bit harsh. Okay, so just give this a good stir, and I'm just using this quite stiff bristle brush for doing the edges with. And you just need a bit of a steady hand, but might need a couple of coats. I'll just be nice and careful with it. I'm not worried about that mirror plate on there. I don't need to paint that. That's just there to hold the painting on the wall. And I'm just going to do it like that. So like I said, just need a bit of a steady hand, but it's pretty easy to do. There's a nice straight edge to work up against. And to be honest, if you do slip, make any mistakes, as long as you wipe it off straight away. If I've got a bit of paint on here, say on the painting, as long as I wiped it off straight away, it would be fine. Particularly since this is water-based paint that I'm putting on now, and we've got oil paint on the painting, it doesn't really want to stick to that, so it'd be pretty easy to get it off. Okay, so I just have to work my way around. I always think that the bigger the painting is, the less framing it needs. I think when you've got a smaller painting, you need something a bit more substantial to separate the painting from the wall that it's hanging on, so that you can actually focus on the painting. A bit like this. I think something like this needs this kind of frame because it's quite a small painting. If you hung a painting this size straight on the wall, it's just going to get lost. And having a frame that's got a bit of depth to it, and it's got a bit of separation, this kind of weight to it, then it actually allows you to see the painting. And this is the same paint colour that I was using for the edges of the big painting behind me, this kind of off-white. I think it looks quite nice. So I hope you enjoyed watching that. I've got quite a lot going on in the studio at the moment. I'm going to be working on this big bit of floppy old tent canvas probably in the next video. Now that I've got this done, or nearly done, I'll move it out of the way and start doing some painting as well. So yeah, if you enjoy watching the videos, please do subscribe to the channel so you can see all the ones that are coming up as well, and it helps me out a lot. Okay, thanks a lot. I'll see you soon.